we will certainly all be listening. We'll all be watching on Friday night. It is a big game at GMHBA Stadium. It is Geelong Cats against Essendon, who haven't been down the highway, Kingy, since 1993. So the country game is actually going country. And what a great pleasure it is to talk to a man of the land, superstar of the game, 15 seasons in, third all-time highest goal kicker in Geelong and going as strong as ever. Tom Hawkins, welcome to the show.
Morning, Sam. Morning, Kingy.
Tommy.
We thought we'd get to you straight up this time, Tommy, and we wouldn't have you listen to us debate nauseating topics.
No, I enjoyed that. I
Um,
enjoyed that. You know that.
Not sure we do, but you're joining us here for Keezer, struggling with back pain. Now's the time for Keezer. The country game, the annual Powercore Country Festival match, of course, between your club, Tom, and Essendon this Friday night, GMHBA Stadium. Established in 2016, just a part of the footy furniture now, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. It's come a long way, and there's been some great people behind it. Kevin Sheedy has really driven this, along with both Geelong and Essendon, and of course Powercore, who have come on board in recent years and have done a fantastic job. And as you mentioned, it's great to be able to have it down in Geelong, albeit in certainly different circumstances. We'll have less capacity at the ground, but it'll be better than last year, and we'll look forward to the game.
And you've obviously been on board as an ambassador for this concept since the very beginning, but you're not just an ambassador, you live it as well. How's the property going at the moment?
What do you got going on the property? You got any carving going on or any lambing? What do you got?
Yeah, we've got 45 breeding cows, just Angus cattle, straight Angus. So we're autumn calvers. So we've just joined at the moment, a couple of weeks ago, about 10 days ago, to be precise. So it's just a bit of a hobby. It's I say to a lot of people that the luxury of I've been fortunate that I've been in Geelong for a long period of time now, and you've got the ability to live down the coast or in town or just outside. So there's a few more that are slowly coming out to join us, I should say, Emma and I. There's the Stanleys are out here and the Smiths as well. So it's a great part of Geelong, and to be fair, it takes me 20 minutes, not much traffic to get into town. So we do have that luxury of being able to do that, but yeah, it's nice to be out because I grew up on a farm, and my wife, she's from Deniliquin in southern New South Wales, and she's a rural girl as well. So it's nice to be able to have a bit of space.
Oh, we love the Denny Ute, Master Kingy.
They're worth a bit these days.
Yeah.
They tell you what, every time one drops, Tommy, the little cha-ching goes off in the background. They're quite expensive, these young calves now, aren't they?
Yeah, the market's been, both sheep and cattle and wool's sort of tracking back up, but and cropping numbers have been really, really strong. So we had it hasn't always been like that, but it's a good time if you've got cattle. Hard time to be buying them, but you've got to do it at some stage, I suppose.
More than just a hobby is what we're getting to.
Yeah. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a bit of fun.
It is.
if you're getting along on Friday night, tomorrow night, the pre-game festival on the concourse of GMHBA Stadium, it all kicks off at 4:00. There's live music, entertainment, local food stalls. It'll be magnificent. And I wanted to ask you, it's a big game, Tommy. How was the week of assessment? I mean, the Lions have and will beat plenty of sides up there, but they out-hunted you and they out-pressured you. How's the been upon reflection?
Yeah, it's certainly a good way to look at the game. We just weren't good enough around the contest. Our ability to be able to spread away was quite poor. It was just our formation in general just didn't work that well in defence. We leaked too much ball, and they were able to take too many marks. And obviously, they beat us by 50 points, so they had a fair bit of bit more scoreboard impact than we did. So when we did have the ball, we really struggled to just control the tempo of it. We tried to play quick and played into their hands a bit. So it was a really good game to actually review. To be totally honest, we saw a few flaws that crept into our game, and we get a good opportunity against Essendon, who really are playing some pretty good footy. I watched the game against Melbourne last week. They're they're exciting. I feel like they're always in the contest. They're a very strong fourth quarter side, and they've got some youth and some experienced players, which is an exciting mix. And yeah, they're playing very energetic footy, so they'll be tough enough to beat.
You're the captain of the forward line down there. You've had some talent come in this year. Obviously, Jeremy Cameron has been the talking point. How are you assessing how it's going and where it can get to in the next 6 to 8 weeks? Because it's been exciting to watch, to be honest, from the outside looking in.
Yeah, look, it's been exciting to play in forward line group. I think we've had some really good continuity amongst the group, which has been really important. Obviously, bringing Jeremy in, who's a star of the competition, is certainly going to help that. But I think we're an evolving group, to be quite frank. It's the more footy we play together, the better we will understand, because we've certainly had some really good games as a collective 6 or 7, but we've also had games on the weekend where we just none of us really had the impact that we would really like. So I think it's one of those things that just takes a little bit of time, and it's going to keep evolving. But it's certainly been exciting and fun to play with when we do get it right.
Tom, you've got such a deep team, such an amazing list. I wanted to ask, as leaders, do you get around sort of the other guys like the Narkles, the Geordie Clarks, Charlie Constables of the world, and plenty others I'm missing, I'm sure, guys who could leave easily for more opportunity? I mean, how do you ensure they stick around? Do you get around them, or do you leave them to their own devices, just believing that the culture that you have there makes it hard for those sort of players to leave?
Look, it's really tough when you find yourself in the position that you're an outstanding VFL player and you just can't quite get into the senior player for a regular spot. It happens at every team, but we've got a few players that are dominant in the VFL. You could throw, as you said, Darcy Ford in there has been dominant, but we've been celebrating and their successes, and they're just going to be patient, and their opportunity will come. And when they do, hopefully that they can grasp it. But they've been wonderful for our group, wonderful for our development of our young kids, because it's always really important, I think, to have a successful VFL side where you can. Now, that's not always the case, but you learn some really valuable lessons. And I know, upon reflection, I certainly did. I had some players, like Charlie Gardner and Henry Playfair and Tim Callan, who are, again, they're probably too good for VFL, but you can learn some invaluable lessons in your time spent in the VFL. But for them, I'm sure they're getting frustrated. But the way that they continue to help younger teammates and stay positive around the group has been fantastic.
Can I ask you? I think what you've done, you've really dominated ruck work inside that forward 50 there. You've made it your own. You've changed the way that we view forward 50 stoppages, and by extension, I think you've questioned the physicality of all ruckmen across the competition. They look pretty soft against you, to be honest, Tom. Has there been much feedback from the ruck fraternity about what you've been doing to them?
Look, it's a role that I've really enjoyed, King. There's a couple of elements to it that sort of have reminded me, because I played a little bit of forward ruck when I myself couldn't find my way into the side as a consistent player each week. So there's elements that you come up against ruckmen like Sam Draper this weekend. He rucks a lot on his own, so he gets a lot of them can be quite fatigued, and I've got a great group of midfielders and high forwards that I can be able to find. Even Jez and Gary Rowan get in there, so we're quite dangerous at ground level. So it does put a lot of pressure on defences in their back 50. So I've always had the licence to be really creative. So I work with Nigel Lappin and Matty Knights, and we try and construct a few things and be creative in there. So
do you plan?
It certainly doesn't work all the time. There's plenty of times where I'm pushed around by bigger blokes. So, but yeah, the license is to be quite creative.
Don't know about that, Tom. I haven't seen one of them move you yet.
It'll happen on the weekend now.
How far does the planning go? So you got Draper coming down there this weekend. Do you know where he likes to stand or where you can get him? How deep is the discussion in the preview?
Yeah, so I'll probably individually do my own work in terms of how each ruckman likes to position themselves. So some rush, some like to take front position, some are really crafty, and whether they're strong or more agile. But you sort of watch a little bit of vision here and there. Use the coaches as sort of sounding boards, and even sort of Reece Stanley and other ruckmen, Sav, have been really good. They've often come up against guys, so I get their opinion. But look, it probably sounds. I spend sort of 5 or 10 minutes each week on it, just having a little think about it. But it's not something that I spend hours and hours on.
Now, Tom, it's the Bombers tomorrow night. Now, your lovely daughter Primrose doesn't have an Essendon doll too, does she? Not a Parish or a Merritt sort of toy. I love the revelation that she's got a real love for the Bont and the doggies too, it sounds like.
Yeah, she does. It's come off the back of a lady, Shirley, who looks after the kids, and she's a dog supporter.
Oh,
and
no.
she brainwashed both our girls at a young age, and then we're through connections. I've got to know Amit Baines at the Bulldogs, and he found out. So he sent a little package down, and one of them included a Bont doll. And for some reason, she takes a couple of bunnies to bed, and the Bont doll has found its way in there as well. So she's attached, and it's not even a thing for show. It's literally last night she was asking for rabbits and a Bont before she went to bed. So
jeez.
She took it into daycare, so she takes it everywhere. So she's got a real fascination for him. And I tell you what, I don't blame her either. He is a star.
It's a good doll to have, no doubt about that. Hey, Tom, best of luck tomorrow night, the annual Powercore Country Festival. The game between Geelong and Essendon, going since 2016. Great part of the fixture each and every year. Big game for your Cats. Thanks so much for joining us, Tom.
Pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Go well.
Tom Hawkins there, one of the greats of the Geelong Football Clubs, and joining us for Keezer. Struggling with back pain, now's the time for Keezer. Now open in Mornington and Ocean Grove. I think he's got a contract as well for next year. That will be season number 16, Kingy. So
he's 33 in about 3 weeks.
Yeah. He's going, as you said, he's physically as dominant as he's ever been.
He's embarrassing ruckman.
And well, that's amazing.